And we're live. I hope. Oh, cool. We're live. All right. Hey, everyone. Yeah, man. Holy cow. That was Chris, I got to tell you, that was a treat to be able to hang out with those gentlemen and man, I could have been in there all night and been totally happy with that. That was really cool. That was a privilege for sure. So, how are your grados, sir? They are great. Great. My grados are great. This is not sponsored by Grado. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Do we have audio? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. All right, good. Yeah, Grado SR80Es. I was just looking. Oh, it's funny. I don't even know if these are SR. Yeah, they are SR80Es. Man, these things have been through the ringer. I've had these things for years. And yeah, I, it's funny. So what I love so much about these, I don't think it would be fair to say that they're my favorite headphone that I've ever heard. I'm just so used to hearing myself in these that I just they're just comfortable. I just know what these things sound like, and so yeah. Let's talk tubes. Why not? I love tubes. Yeah, I'm totally down. What do you guys got? Any questions about tubes? You guys notice these guys behind me? Ooh, we got some towers, and my laptop is in the way. Let me got some drivers here. I already tore apart the other ELAC, and yeah, a lot of fun. I gotta say, I know that Andrew designs the drivers, but golly darn, man, these things are beefy and no stamped frame. These things are serious. He is not messing around. And the aramid fiber cone. Do you guys know what the difference is between carbon fiber cones and aramid fiber? Is it just two different fabrics? I'm curious. I don't know. But yeah, boy, that is a beefy freaking driver. I haven't even heard these. I was just like, I'm gonna tear these things apart. I want to do it. And then the tweeter, which I already took apart, is we got a little soft dome. Yay! All right, soft dome tweeter. No aluminum. No aluminum or tweeters, please. They're not bad. I feel like we start talking about aluminum dome tweeters or titanium or any of that stuff, man. You got to be able to control those. I can't put this thing back on. What have I done here? There we go. Yeah. A little honeycomb mesh grill. All right. Ever heard of COS HV1LC? No. I assume that's a headphone. I am familiar with the COS Porta Pros. Those are shockingly good and they're like $15. Really nice. Have you heard of Alan Eaton's amps? No, I've never even heard of Alan Eaton. 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 Let me think about that. That sounds so familiar. Is that a driver? Are there Eaton drivers? Is that what I'm thinking of? I've never heard of Alan Eaton's amps. No. So shoot me an email if you want me to check them out. I'm happy to, reach out to them. Thinking of getting the Primaluna Prologue 5 tube amp. Well, that seems like a good idea. I'm gonna pull that up right now and take a look at it. So it's the I'll get to some questions here in a second, but I want to check out this Primaluna Prologue 5 tube amp. 5. I'm curious. I see a Dialogue 5. Stereo power amplifier. EL34s. 42 watts per channel in ultralinear, 21 watts in triode. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if this is the right amp that I'm staring at right now. All right, so here we got Roar of the Tiger is saying, Ron, if I'm not mistaken, Aramid is similar to Kevlar. That makes sense. Kevlar. Aramid fiber Kevlar. Yeah, I can go with that. Okay. Klipsch Cornwall 3s. I'm sure, Chris, I'm sure you're going to be a happy camper with that. I think you're going to do great with that. I can't imagine that being a bad combo at all. How do you like the Klipsch? How do you like the Cornwall 3s? I haven't heard those. Did you remove the RCA end that was broken in your input? This is from David Stevens. Oh, David, I know what you're talking about in the shit, the Bifrost. No, I didn't, because ultimately where I landed was, what am I doing here? Who cares? I'm going to be using balanced connections anyways when I'm going through the paces with that. So I decided, why am I even worrying about this? It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, no biggie. Yeah. I did try your drywall screw trick and it did not work. I think what's happened is that little flap that is making the connection to the pin is bent in such a fashion that I can't get it to bend back this way to where it just slides right in and makes a connection. It's jacked up. There's no amount of drywall screws it's going to fix what's wrong with it. It's something's busted. So, no biggie. Question: could you compare a stock pair of ELAC 6.2 speakers to the same speaker with the GR Research upgrade, which is $350? Aaron, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. That's a good question. I saw that episode where Danny went in and made some adjustments to the crossover, and from what I could tell, it's minor adjustments. But here's the thing that you need to understand about Danny Ritchie and GR Research is the guy just refuses to settle, and he he wants to get everything that he can out of a loudspeaker, and so that those corrections that he made, if you want to call it corrections, I'm being generous, but the changes that he made that he is saying are corrections, um, you know, I can tell you that with the debut reference, those some of the things that Danny mentioned in his video are some of the things that have been corrected with the debut reference. So that's a bit of a conundrum, right? So it's like, do you get the debut 6.2, all these freaking names, the 6.2, spend the money to do the upgrade, or do you just get the debut reference, which corrects the issues that Danny brought up, or corrects, yeah, the issues that Danny brought up, and there are some other benefits, including the aesthetics. Do you just do that? So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know if I'll be doing any kind of a review. Uh, oh, David, I'm done talking about. I'm done talking about the drywall screw. Yeah, yeah, it's messed up. It's jacked up. Let me just see here. Sorry, DALI IO6 or IO4. How do you find them? Oh, that's an interesting question. You mean this guy right here? Yeah, so I've actually been putting the DALI IO6 through its paces. I have no idea how the IO4 sounds. But in my opinion, these guys made a lot of smart decisions. The fact that It is a Bluetooth headphone. Okay, we have that, but it also has just a standard jack. So you can use these as a traditional headphone and plug them into any amplifier and do different things with them. And that's kind of cool. Is it the greatest sounding headphone that I've ever heard? No, it's not. But there are some cool things about this headphone that make it pretty compelling. And the review will be out maybe this week, at the earliest this week. So you're not going to be waiting around for a long time to hear what I think. All right, let's just see here. What's the most exciting company in audio now? Not necessarily the best, but the company that excites, entertains, pushes the envelope the most? Woo! Okay. Um, if we're talking about production, like, so we're not talking about do it yourself. We're talking about production. Speakers, I think that Spatial Audio, Clayton Shaw and Spatial Audio is probably the company that I'm always interested in what is he going to do next. That's my opinion, but granted that's coming from a place of I love open baffle loudspeakers and I will never forget hearing the original M3. I will never ever forget that experience. I think that I got very lucky. I can't take all the credit in the world that where I plopped those speakers down was the perfect spot in the old room. I just nailed it, set them up. We started, spinning records, and I had my brother over and I had my friend Mark over, both audiophiles. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. We sat there for like 45 minutes and nobody said a word. We were just like, not even what's the next track, nothing. I just got up, I would change the record, I'd move on to the next record, whatever. Just listen, listen. And then after the 45 minutes, we were just like, holy, like, wow, these are great. And I love what Spatial does. I love his designs. I think he's a smart designer. I think that aesthetics with those speakers is really compelling and really interesting. He has kind of a modern take on open baffle designs, and I like that. So that's that. Now, in regards to amplifiers and things like that, that's a tough one. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of reviews for LTA, and they are certainly an interesting company. They are doing things very different with their Zodal technology, with yanking out the output transformer. Fascinating stuff. Really interesting to see, or really interested in seeing where they go. So that's another company that I think is really interesting. And then, uh, trying to think, other exciting. I'll stick with those two. Let's move on. All right, let's see here. Next question. What are your thoughts on AC power filters, UPS generators, et cetera, et cetera? Warren, yes, that's my answer. But it comes with a disclaimer and a little bit of reservation in that while I have experimented with some of that stuff, I think I've been lucky, at least here in Arizona, and my power seems to be pretty darn good. And so I think that when it comes to power filters and all of that kind of stuff, it might be dependent on where you live and what the power is like coming into the home, whether or not you're going to be seeing a huge difference with those types of products. I'm all for it. Like I I'm not the type of audiophile that turns my nose up to any of that stuff saying, "Oh no, it's just snake oil." No, I don't feel that way. I think that you should experience that stuff and try it out and see what kind of gains that can be had. Interesting though, I have in the past through experience, so this is me just sharing an experience. I've tried some like cheaper surge like power conditioners, so-called power conditioners, stuff from like Belkin and Monster and things like that. And I would swear to you that it actually made a difference in a negative way. I'm convinced, this is crazy old audiophile Ron speaking, that it didn't actually make things sound better. If anything, I felt like I was losing a little bit on dynamics. So that's that. So cheap ones, I'm not so sure about, it could be hit and miss. What's up, dude? Have you ever heard of Devore Fidelity orangutans? Yeah. Either the O93 or O96s. If so, how do you like them? Your cup of tea. I have heard of them and walked by I've walked by Devore Fidelity a couple of times at shows, and I've never had the chance to sit down and listen to either of those speakers that you just mentioned. And it's a bummer because those were the models that I was interested in hearing. So, no comment. I don't know. I don't have an opinion because I haven't had the chance to really spend time with them. They look interesting, but they are also quite pricey. So they come with the that high ticket price of admission. Um, I'd be interested to hear them. Yeah. Brian asks, Ron, what are your thoughts on DSP, specifically mini DSP and 2 channel or 2.1 systems? I actually own the original mini DSP, the 2 channel mini DSP. And when I bought it, my reason for buying it and what I wanted to use it for was for um, messing around with crossovers and seeing what it can do in terms of changing slopes and hearing the difference of, a first order slope versus a second order, third order, and just listening to different speakers that I was building at the time and putting together. How do I feel about them in a 2.1 system? Digital crossovers, they do have benefits that we can't ignore. And for some folks out there, they're exactly what they need. And I don't poo poo it at all. I think that there's a purpose for them, but I've never used one like that. I've never used one the way that you're describing it. So I'd be lying if I tried to tell you what I think because I don't know. Um, Let me just see here. In a market for new amplifier, opinions on new Yamaha AS1200. You reviewed the 2100 versus shit Vidar Saga combo. Oh my gosh, talk about two totally different animals. I'll say this. I feel pretty confident in saying that with the Yamaha, you're probably going to be able to cover more ground if you haven't already landed on the right speaker for you. Meaning, if you're still swapping out speakers and you're changing sensitivities and you're trying floor standards versus bookies, et cetera, I have a feeling that the Yamaha is probably going to cover more ground than what the shit audio combo is going to be able to cover. Um, Now, granted, if you're talking about, well, Ron, I mean like two Agers and mono, well, then that's going to get you closer to an even and fair fight. I really like the shit stuff because it does lend itself to that to-be magic, and I'm saying magic loosely. It's not magic. I'm just saying that it's able to present what I would consider a holographic soundstage. So it comes down to pairings, and it comes down to which speakers we're talking about. Any spatial reviews on the horizon? Glad you asked. The answer is yes. I have been talking to a couple of different folks in the industry. I've been talking to LTA. I've been talking to Lampizator, if I'm saying that right. They do DACs with tube based outputs on the DAC. And I've been talking to Spatial, and combined together, we're going to put together a little package that I'm going to be reviewing here very soon within the next few weeks. So, yes, and the Spatial speaker that I'm going to be reviewing, I believe, is going to be the M3 Sapphire. And I am stoked. I'm very excited. All right, let's take a look here. Let me back up. I want to get a better system, but I don't want to feel locked in with something mid-tier. And I still feel like I want something better. How do I make the jump without looking back? Uncle Jeezy, that is a loaded question. If there was ever a loaded question, that's it. What's your budget and what are you going for? I need more information before I can really, help you out with that. Fan of IAMs, any info? Not an IAM guy. I've used them in the past. There's nothing wrong with IAMs, but I'm out of that game, and I have been out of that game for a while. So go to Josh's channel, Josh Valor. Josh would be a guy, or DMS would be able to help you with IAMs better than I can. And that's just me being humble about it. I don't know. Um, Was it difficult to place and dial in the GR Research OB subs, and does it require near wall reinforcement? Travis, it requires the opposite. You need to pull the open baffle speakers away from the walls before they start to dance for you. And as long as you would have, I would say, a minimum of 3 feet distance from the wall to the subwoofer, then be ready. At that point, you can dial those things in with the plate amp and you can do whatever the heck you want with them. They've got a ton of different options. I need to review those in detail so you guys can better understand what I mean by all this hyperbole and saying you can do anything with them. It's not hyperbole. You literally can do anything with those subs. So um, I need to I need to do a dedicated review of the H-frame open baffle subs so you have a better understanding of what's going on with those. Hey, Ron, it's been a while since you reviewed the Sulk Veracity ST. If you were to review a second pair of Sulk speakers, which model would you most be interested in for taking a spin? I noticed that, oh, this is an interesting question. I noticed that, help me out, guys. Is it Philharmonic Audio? They've been doing some speakers for a little while, and now they're only offering them as a do-it-yourself. It's, I think, the BMR or something like that. And I think you can get them made through Sulk. I'm really interested in those speakers. The design concepts, the idea, everything that I've read up on those speakers. So I guess the speaker that I'd want to check out from Sulk is not technically a Sulk speaker. It's a Philharmonic speaker. So if either of those manufacturers are listening to this, Sulk or Philharmonic, shoot me an email. Let me know. What are your thoughts on power cables? I don't think about power cables all that much, and that is the honest to goodness truth. I am one of those audiophiles that is more than happy to give it a try, but I don't think about cables all that much. I experiment with them, I try them. If I hear notable differences, then I talk about it in a review, but I don't spend a ton of time chatting about it or thinking about it. And I think that uh, if I was to, my entire channel would be in a lot of trouble because nobody can agree. Everybody is going to be at each other's throats. And for me, hi-fi needs to be fun. So I don't think about power cables. I really don't. Um, Outside of audio and being a dad, what gets Ron excited? Cooking. I love to cook and playing guitar. I've played guitar for 20 years and I love both of those. Those are 2 passions of mine. So, yeah, anybody ever comes over and hangs out and listens to music, part of that whole deal is that I cook you dinner and it's going to be good. So, is there a budget open baffle speaker worth vetting? Keith, if we're talking about do it yourself, you've got a ton of options. Starting with the Ecstatic, which is offered by GR Research. I think that kit is under $400. That is probably going to be the king when it comes to value. If you don't want to build an open baffle loudspeaker and you want to buy something brand new, yeah, budget. What is it? What is your budget? If you can help me out a little bit with that and kind of what you had in mind, then I can help you out a little bit better. Let's see here. Hey, Ron, hope you can review the new PS Audio Stellar integrated amps. I'm sure I could. I have a good relationship with PS Audio. I could certainly reach out to them and make that happen. I don't see that being a problem at all. Hello, Ron. How the XLS Encore compares the AVO? Let's say they all have the upgrades. They are 2 totally different sounding loudspeakers in the sense of how they stage. So the XLS Encore is a traditional bookshelf speaker. And so you're going to have a very linear response. That is what, Danny is known for. You're going to have fantastic, some of the best vertical and horizontal off access out there. I mean, that's one that he cares about that. And so they're going to stage very well. There's no question about that. But the AVOs are a different animal. They are omnidirectional from around 2000 hertz and down. Those frequencies become omnidirectional. So even at a 90-degree angle, meaning that that woofer is pointing up, but ignore that, you are still getting an omnidirectional getting omnidirectional frequencies. And so the interesting thing about it, and I don't know if it's due to radiation patterns or how it just throws music into the room, it sounds like it's easy to get a sound stage that is worth chatting about. So you plop the AVOs down 3 feet 3 feet away from the walls. That's going to be a minimum. You turn up the music, and you've just got a whole lot of stage to work with in the room. With the XLS Encores, mm, not they do a good job, but they can't quite throw it like the AVOs can. So between the two, the AVOs are my favorite of the two because they're just fun. They're fun to listen to, and there are some drawbacks, some sacrifices with the XLS Encore. You're going to get a bit more presence in the upper mid range, and they're going to sound a little bit more upfront and exciting. But yeah, power wise, I totally agree with you, Ron. It's cool. Okay, let me just see here. Second to Mikey's request. Ice built. If I miss Mikey's request, I apologize. Just throw it in down below. I think I've gotten to everything so far. I try to read every single question, so I know a lot of you guys are probably chomping at the bit, like, hurry, hurry, hurry. I want to be thorough with these answers, and I want to make sure that for every question that comes up, I'm thorough. So bear with me. How do you keep the kids off the system? Barbed wire, of course. I'm totally kidding. No, I no. You know what? I don't actually, and I think it's a mistake if you do that. And that's my opinion as a dad, as a father. I don't keep Georgia away from the system. When she wants to go and mess around with things, I walk beside her and I talk to her about it and I let her turn things on, and she dances and she has fun. So I don't keep her away from the system. And if there's a mistake that's made, like poking you know, a dust cap, then I don't freak out. I just get some, duct tape and pull it right back out, and we're good to go. No biggie. I have Devore Gibbons. They are the best I have heard so far. That's fantastic. What are your thoughts on upmixing two-channel audio to surround? Vim Diesel, I'm not a surround sound guru. I think that this question is probably better suited to either Youthman or Techno Dad. They're going to be able to help you out so much better than I can. I don't even have a surround sound system, so I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just being honest with you. Um, let's just see here. ESS or AKM, assuming excellent implementation, are the differences splitting hairs? Some for R2R versus Delta Sigma. It looks like you're talking about DAX, the specific DAC. And you know what, Shane? I'm not going to jump into that conversation yet because I'm exploring DAX and I've got a lot to learn. And before I make up my mind on R2R DAX, ladder DAX, versus the latest, greatest, super precise, measuring DAX. I don't know. I'm exploring that world right now. Thoughts on the original Kef? Oh, I lost it. I gotta go up. I gotta go up. Thoughts on the original Kef reference 101? I've never heard it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I have heard the LS50s and they're a fine speaker. There's nothing wrong with an LS50. Two buffer stage band-aid or worth trying to tame a bright system? Yeah, James, the answer is yes. I do think that you could consider a tube buffer, and I do think that you could tame some nasties with a tube buffer. That's my opinion. Ron, what are the best XLR cables? I don't know. Someone told me Japanese 08 cables are worth checking. Any advice? Thanks. I don't know what the best are because I haven't explored every single XLR cable on planet Earth. I have used XLR cables from Audio Art Cable. In fact, I've got a whole bunch I'm going to be trying with the shit rig, and I like them quite a bit. They're fantastic. Um, I've used some balance cables that were from what is it? Hypex. So Encore Hypex, you go to their shop, you can buy some XLR, cables from them, and I've had those for years and they work out great. No problems there. Um Ground loop issues with tube gear, any isolation transformer recommendations? Man, ground loop issues with tube gear. You know, Todd, I've had a lot of weird ground loop issues just in general, like little, oh, and here's a new hum. That's super awesome. And dude, sometimes I can figure it out and sometimes I can't. The latest weird thing that I've had, and I had it with Leo, and when I reached out to Vinny Rossi, he was like, dude, your house is possessed by demons because what you're experiencing is just on a different planet. There was a ground loop or a 60 cycle hum or something along those lines. It sounded like that anytime I would connect Leo to a power amp. And it doesn't matter if it is a two power amp or solid state power amp, I would have this hum. And so we tried literally everything and we could never get rid of it until one day, just through some experimenting and chatting with Dan Wright from Mod Right about ground loop issues and things like that. He's like, hey, man, send me some pictures of everything. I started showing him. He's like, you're using that PS Audio, I think it's called their deck tet. It's just like a power strip. And he's like, try this. Run a ground as if like you're, grounding your turntable. Same type thing from the back of the Leo to a screw on that and see what happens. I did it. Gone. So that was my band-aid. That was my fix for that. It was crazy. So it worked great. So yeah, but in terms of like Todd, in terms of like isolation transformer recommendations, I haven't messed with any of that stuff. I've done like things that I just described as how do I do this without getting whatever a transformer or isolation transformer or things like that. Let's just see here. Okay, this is a good question. Ron, I've never had a high-end solid state amp. Do the high-end solid state amps throw off a holographic soundstage like good tube amps do, or like yeah, they can. And I think that it's important that anytime that I talk about like a holographic stage with tubes, I'm not saying that solid state amplifiers can't do that. I'm just saying that it has been my experience that tubes seem to they seem to move in that direction much more easier. It's just like, oh, and here's a magic trick for you. You just got to turn me on. And then there it is. You've got a holographic sound stage. Where with some solid state amps, they either do it or they don't. And so I don't know where the magic lies. I don't know if it comes down to Class A B, topology, who knows, negative feedback. Not smart enough to really get into that debate, but yes, some solid state stuff can give you a very holographic image and some, yeah, not as much in my experience, in my opinion. New viewer, you reference the GR channel a lot. Can you explain the connection there? Yeah, Chris, I'd be happy to explain it. Before I actually started New Record Day, I knew of GR Research and I was a customer of GR Research from all the way back then. And early on, Danny was just really helpful and a great guy. And through the years, he has been one of my biggest one of my biggest fans. He loves what I've done from the very get-go, and he's always been kind of in my corner, just saying, "Hey, man, just report what you hear, and don't be afraid, and just say what you hear." And that has been something that has meant a lot to me. So, Danny is, in my opinion, a great designer. He is fantastic with crossovers, all things crossovers. I think Danny is fantastic. And I like his stuff. And I have built some of his speakers, if you want to call it my reference towers, my do it yourself. I never called them my reference. I got to be careful with this because they are do it yourself. So it's kind of hard to say these are my reference speakers because, well, they're my reference do it yourself open baffle loudspeakers. But if I was to try to compare them with something that's going to be equal in price that is a production product, that's not really a fair fight because it just doesn't make sense. Dollars and cents, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's the connection. Nothing more than that. I don't make any money from GR Research with him selling kit. Um, that guy from Philharmonic got sick and turned his business over to Jim. Oh man, that sucks to hear that. Um, hmm. That's a bummer. Have any thoughts on smaller high-end audio companies with the pandemic? Hearing about companies struggling, will a number of companies close the doors? Brian, I do talk to a lot of companies out there, and the unfortunate news is that is a possibility. There are many companies, smaller companies, that are struggling right now. They're not getting the orders they need, and it's their livelihood. And so, for some companies, it's not looking great. I don't know the outcome. I can only be optimistic and hope for the best. Ron, with all the choices for cartridges, how do you wade through the noise and options? I don't. Cartridge. I still recommend it to this very day. At the time that I bought it, I think it was 850 bucks. I think it's closer to 1,000 now, and I don't worry about what else is out there. Obviously, if I'm reviewing something, then I'm happy to hear it, but the tried and true 20X2L was it gave me everything that I could ever ask for when it comes to high fidelity playback of, vinyl. It's great. What speaker would be a good match for the shit Ragnarok 2? I don't know, Dennis, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I've never heard that amp, and I don't know. Are you still a fan of anti-cables? Do you use something else? Am I still a fan? This is the kind of wording that gets interesting. It's like a fan of it. Well, I've reviewed those cables and I've used those cables and they were great. I had no problems with them. I think the biggest argument that kept coming up, and I think it still comes up to this day, is a lot of think that he's just using magnet wire. I think it's called magnet wire, which is like really cheap stuff. And I talked to Paul about this, and he's like, "Man, I'm so sick and tired of having to explain this. It's not magnet wire. It's like high purity copper, and we've been over this a million times." So, do I have them now? No. Have I heard them in many, many years? No. It's been forever since I've heard anti-cables, and it would be cool to check them out again and see what I think, and I would be totally open to do that. Let me just see here. We got a message from a guy named John that says, "Are you willing to admit that your brother is superior to you in most measurable ways?" Um, for you guys that are watching right now, John is my brother. And the answer to that question is no. And I think you might be deaf. All right. Ron, with all choices for cartridges, I already answered that. Let me just see here. With the glut of used vintage and new amps, receivers, and speakers, the ever growing number of formats, the big question is, what is your favorite cup of coffee? No, really, actual coffee. um, so I have this thing with coffee that I can't drink coffee. I actually get crazy nauseous like right away, and I feel like I'm going to throw up. And so coffee for me is not really something that I do. There's my answer. I love that question. I've been looking at the Ecstatic. You should. The Ecstatic is a killer loudspeaker, and it's really affordable. Betsy Open Baffle. I'm familiar with that. I think that's from Deckware. I haven't heard that speaker. I know nothing about it, so might be good. I don't know. Let me just see here. Give me a second here, guys. This skips down, so I need to back up and make sure that I'm getting to every single question. Let's see here. Any interest on the mini DSP? I already mentioned this. I haven't had a ton of experience with any other products in the original mini DSP, and I only use it just to listen to crossover slopes. So that's that. Has anyone tried the Tecto .210 or 410 subwoofers? I'm interested in them because their double impacts are amazing. Okay, so I think you're asking about Tecton. I don't know anything about the subwoofers. If anybody else can chime in, that would be helpful. Ron, you're a good man and thorough. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. That is very kind of you. Also, I'd love to have you get a whack at the benchmark. You know what? Me too, my friend. I've reached out to Benchmark and they are interested in sending me that stuff, but they're having a lot of production issues right now and it's hard to get the inventory. So hopefully that will happen sooner than later. SACD, yes or no? Grand Ben, I'm going to be quick about that. That is one thing that got me into hi-fi to begin with. If we go back to DVD audio and Super Audio CD, I loved it. I thought it was freaking awesome. And when it went away, I was very, very sad. So yes, I'm totally down with that stuff. It's great. Have you heard any of the LS35As, maybe the Falcons? Yes, I have at shows. And here's the thing with those speakers, and everybody freaking just talks about them like they're the greatest thing on the planet. But for me, they're kind of a one trick pony. They do the human voice, but there's a lot more than just the human voice when it comes to music. And so I'm not poo pooing them. I think that they serve a great purpose, and I think they're great at the human voice. It sounds crazy, natural, and realistic, but they can't drop bombs and they can't get very high. So they're, they're not a perfect loudspeaker, unfortunately. Another question, what do you mean when you say that a speaker has air and treble or soundstage? I'm learning what all the terms mean. Thank you. Mikey, I need to do a video that actually breaks down all of that stuff. I actually have been thinking about that lately, so hang in there. I'm not going to be able to do it tonight, but I will do a video that kind of gives you my definition is of all these audiophile terms and silly jargon that we throw out there at you guys. Do you have a preference for sub connections, interconnects, or speaker wire? Michael, that is a really interesting question because I'm going to start exploring that. There's a lot of, there's an idea, I would call it an idea out there that if you use the high level inputs, meaning the speaker wire to sub, that it's going to yield a better result. You're going to have better integration from your mains. I don't know if that is necessarily true, but I'm willing to experiment and try it. And so it will be done. That is an idea for a video that I'm going to be working on. Ron, do you think a top of the line vintage speakers can prove good value in putting together a system in 2020? Speakers like, I don't know, Duntech Sovereign and JBL 250 Ti's. I'm not familiar with either of those. They are time and phase aligned. Yes, sure, absolutely. I mean, vintage speakers can be great. I don't see why not. You got to understand that as they get older, there might need to be some repairs done to the loudspeaker. Speakers do wear out over time, and you got to replace surrounds and things like that. But is it worthwhile? Sure, yeah. Why not? Yeah, audition them if you're checking them out, like on Craigslist or whatever. Then just make sure you hear them before you buy them, and if you like what you hear, go for it. Would the new ELAC debut reference be an upgrade to the Unify UB5? I almost swore. Dang, that's a good question. There's going to be some advantages to the debut reference, and it all has to do with physics. Eventually, physics is going to show up and give you the bird, and it's going to say, we got a bigger driver here, and that's that. And so, sorry, UB5, you've got a smaller driver. Get out of here, kid. There's going to be some advantages that I can think of that the debut reference is going to have. But I love those UB5s. I love them. And if you can get them on clearance, the 350 or whatever the price is, boy, the value is just crazy. So it could just come down to the room. A concentric driver on the UB5. You got it right on that one. Yeah, and William is actually chiming in here saying the ELAC debut reference are way more refined. I have had both, and I've actually heard that. So I haven't spent time with the debut reference. I mean, I just got these in and I haven't even powered them up. But I have heard that they're so refined. Like he nailed it. So, you know, William might be right. All right, let's see here. Give me 1 second. How about the Rogers LS? Okay, I'm going to say the same thing with the LS35As. They're a one trick pony for me. They do some great things when it comes to vocals, but outside of that, I don't think they're a perfect loudspeaker. There's some things that they suffer with. and it's gonna be bass and top end extension. As a hobby, I sell solar products to. I tried some of their solars. What? Okay, Aaron, I think you're just. That's interesting. I don't know if you have a question, but okay, here we go. How can we get people to give it a go and have all benefit from economical upgrade? We're talking about like solar products, Aaron. I don't know. I haven't dived into anything like that yet, so I'd be rambling, and I'm not going to do that. Let me just take a look here. What effort have you put into acoustic wall, floor, and ceiling treatment, Todd? Quite a bit. Um, there's a video if you look for it on my channel that is all about acoustic treatment, and that kind of gives you my thoughts and my breakdown on it. But I've done quite a bit. I have about $1,200 worth of acoustic panels for absorption in my listening room, somewhere around the ballpark there, just to give you, a value idea. I've put some investment into it, and then I put down a thick shag carpet, and then I put down 2 rug pads below that, and my room sounds very good. Doesn't sound too absorbed or dampened, and it doesn't sound too lively. I think it's like right in the middle here. Okay, leave the coffee to Sarah. Yes, and Sarah does love coffee. Um, Bifrost 2 review coming soon. Yes, it is. Very soon. Let me just see here. Trying to get to some more questions. My favorite phono cartridge, it kind of depends on the budget. I think you mean phono preamp. I'm assuming that's what you mean. On the budget side of things, I still like the Lounge Audio preamp. I think that thing is just great for the price. So there's that. As we move up the ladder, you know, getting up to, I would say, around 2K, like that threshold, reaching up into there. I think that Dan Wright from Mod Right knocked it out of the park with the PH 9.0. Um, it's an all tube phono preamp, and it's got tons of loading options. You can run it in mono. Everything that you could ever want is built into that phono preamp, and it's got tubes, and vinyl and tubes go together like peanut butter and jelly. So yeah. Chris Kelly says, "You skipped my question, Ron. I am now questioning my existence and if I'm even real." Oh man. Oh, and then he says, "You answered it now. Thank you. I exist." Yes, Chris, you do. You do exist. Yes, you are real. I think. What are your thoughts on the old AV123 Rocket loudspeakers? I didn't ever have a chance to hear those. I actually own the reference line. I had the reference once, little bookies, and they were fantastic, but I never heard the Rockets, so I don't know. No comment. That's really kind of you, Manuel. You say, "Thanks for on this broadcast and Brian May's videos make my day." That's awesome. What's the best new album to drop you have heard recently? Appreciate your content and being legit, saying you don't know when you don't. Yeah, Michael, I have nothing to hide. I'm here to learn with you guys, and I'll go as far as I can when I do know what I'm talking about. But when I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not the type that's going to try to BS with you. If I don't know, then I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say that. So thank you. Um, Best album that I've heard recently. I have been obsessed since it dropped with the new Strokes album. I love it. It's fantastic. It just came out. What is today? I think it came out Friday. Friday's a week. It's Tuesday. Where's the new music? There is none. And then Friday, there's the new Strokes album, and it's legit. It's awesome. Totally fun. Is it? What's the name of the tower floor standing speakers that you used to have behind you that have an upward firing woofer? If the name doesn't translate well into how they spelled, can you please type? I think you're talking about the AVOs. That is A as in Apple, V as in Victor, and then O as an omnidirectional. And that is a kit that you can build, and you can check it out over at GR Research. That's gr-research.com. Is there a threshold that wireless headphones need to hit that make wired headphones less compelling for you? Not really. No. I mean, it wireless is tricky because bear with me when I say this, but it takes some of the fun out of it for me. You know, it's like I'm one of those audiophiles that believes that amplifiers can sound different. They don't always sound drastically different, but they can. And the same thing applies to headphones. And I want to be able to plug it into different headphone amps and see what happens. And so wireless is a tough sell for Ron from New Record Day for that very reason. That's my thoughts. But if they sound great, then they sound great. And I don't care if they're wireless or not. I don't give a rip. Um, First post here. I own 15 plus sets of audiophile headphones from Sens, Oppo, Philips, many others. Is eBay the best store or are there honest, reliable industry sell website? Thanks. PS no Craigslist bad rep. Gosh, what a question, man. I don't know. I mean, Safe and Sound is a company that I've been working with as a sponsor for New Record Day. And when I pick sponsors, I make sure that I reach out to them and have conversations with them. Like I really want to know how do they treat their customers? What do they like? What are their core values? They're a family owned company, tight knit, and they're just customer centric. The fact that you buy anything from them and you have lifetime tech support, any questions that you want to ask them, they're just there to help. That means a lot. I'll throw that out there. I'm liking working with Safe and Sound so far because it seems to me that what is behind the curtains is a bunch of fine people that actually give a rip about audio and hi-fi enthusiasts and all of you guys, which is cool. Jim asks, any Chinese hi-fi equipment coming in for review? I've got this DAC laying around that I've been neglecting to get to. It's like a tube-based DAC that falls under that umbrella, and I'll get to it. So yeah, there is some stuff that I'm going to be doing in that arena. Yes. Since you have built speaker, what are some ideas on? I think it can get tricky when you're talking about rounded corners on the speaker. So if your design is a rectangle and you've got sharp corners, then veneer is what I would recommend. And if you just do a search on YouTube for how to veneer a loudspeaker, you'll probably be watching a lot of the same videos that I watched when I learned how to do it. It's not hard. You'd be shocked. You need wood glue, believe it or not, like tight bond wood glue, and you need veneer, paper backed veneer, and you need a router with a trim bit, and you need some patience, and you need to know that if you're not careful, the router will rip your fingers off. So be careful, please. That's it. All right. Sorry. I think I'm losing my place here. Give me 1 second. Oh boy. Man, you guys are just cranking them out. Bear with me here, folks. Let me back up. I like only the sound of vintage receivers. I do think this is normal. I can't like the new amp sound from 2000 to 2020. I don't like any of them. They all have bad bass. Eli, that's interesting. That hasn't been my experience, but yeah, that's cool. Interesting. I like vintage amps. You know, my brother John, the deaf one in the family. I shouldn't say that. That's actually very insensitive. I apologize. Let me take that back. I'm joking. He's not deaf. Is actually he's actually great, and he hears a lot of things that I don't hear sometimes, which is cool. He has the older Yamaha that I use in the Yamaha versus Yamaha video, and I got that at Savers for like 30 bucks and it rocks. So, yeah. Sorry I missed your favorite cartridge one more time, please. GOL. It is the Dynavector 20X2L is my favorite cartridge. Um, Room treatment evangelist here. Best in value in AV, a must, folks. Okay. Hi, Ron. Do you ever hear Zoo Audio? Yes, I have heard Zoo Audio at the shows. I've never reviewed any of their stuff. So in the shows, it's kind of hard to know what exactly is happening. And they do have a sound. Some folks really dig them. They're super dynamic. I'll say that. A lot of stuff that I heard is very dynamic. Um, I think I lost a couple of these guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to back up here. Well, it's nice to stay up to date on the B. Michael, that's an interesting question. I'll have to check that out because I've never even heard of the sound artist SC8B. So thank you for the heads up. Here we go. Another question about this is about DSP and D speaker. I had an earlier unit of the D speaker and I thought it was awful. Simple as that. I thought it was yuck. I thought that the way that it corrected the room and what it did was terrible. And this is early on. This is many years ago, so it's entirely possible that it's way better now. And then when it comes to DSP, I think that some people have to do it. They have no choice. They have to do some kind of correction. They can't do acoustic treatment on the walls, and they're not allowed, or whatever the case may be. Then there's nothing wrong with DSP if you want to move in that direction. Sure. When you own the Gallo reference 3.1s, did you ever try the resistor tweak on the subwoofer terminals? I know exactly what review you're talking about, Ryan. It's from the 10 audio review. I read that like a million times. I was like, I got to try that. I got to try it. I never did. I never tried it, unfortunately. So I don't know. I don't know. Mikey asks, give us 3 great sounding tracks in your opinion. Could be your favorite songs too. 3 tracks? Great sounding tracks. There's a gazillion of them. Jazz at the Pawn Shop, High Life. Is it High Life? High Life? I forget the name of the track. Check that one out. That one's crazy. Take 5, Dave Brubeck. I mean, it's just a classic. It's amazing. You want to hear some crazy dynamics with drums, even though I don't like this track. It's and now I'm forgetting it. It's Patricia Barber. I think it's Patricia Barber. I'm gonna have to find it. I'll come back to that in a minute. But and some audiophiles might just know it just based on my description. There's a song where, like, right in the middle of the song, right around 5 minutes and 30 seconds, there's just a drum solo, and it's crazy. It's off of the record Cafe Blue or something like that. Anyways, there's 3 tracks that are great sounding. They're all great. Ever going to review the Magnapan LRS? Kevin, that's a good question. I'm totally happy to do so. I can see if I can make that happen. Hey, Ron, check out the song Barely Alive by the Johnson Brothers. Definitely up your alley. Image and the stage is crazy. Thank you, my friend, for mentioning that. I will bookmark that right now, save it in my notes, and I'll check it out. Thank you. Have you ever heard or seen the GR Research LS6 or LS9? No, I haven't. I would love to. I've never heard them. How about more speaker kit reviews? The GR Research AVO is underway, and I'm going to be doing a step-by-step walkthrough of how to build the GR Research Studio monitor that was recently released. So yes, that's on deck. That's coming. There doesn't seem to be much quality content on budget audio. Some people start making videos on it, but when they get good at it, they get more offers of higher budget items, then that's all that they cover. Scott, that's a shame. I actually love I love budget stuff. I think it's fun. And that's for me, that stuff gets really fun when you find like that diamond in the rough where it's like, wow, this thing's amazing and it's not super expensive. So yeah. Ron, can you get the PS Audio AN3 loudspeaker for review? I don't know. Maybe I can find out. I I don't see why not. Is it finally out? I know that they were doing a bunch of prototypes. I don't know if it's finally out, but yeah, I can ask. Sure. Thoughts on the PS Audio Stellar Phono? I've never heard it. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the Stellar line. I haven't heard it at all, even like at all. So I'm not sure. You can carefully steam a veneer and bend it. Yes, you can, Kevin. That is true. You can steam the veneer and do the bends and the roundovers and all that stuff. Where it gets tricky is when you have not just the two sides, but also the top, and then you're doing. That's where things get tricky, tricky, tricky. Um, Sorry, Ron, but I do believe that Mark Brewer's question was on phono cartridge, vinyl player, transducer, ortophone grado. Just saying. Okay, I see. Yeah, Dynavector 20X2L has been my mainstay cartridge for many, many years, and it's great. Hey, Charles Katz, save the day. Patricia Barber, Cafe Blue. Thank you. Let me just see here. A good cartridge for the Riga 2. What's your What's your budget? Redneck Tech 70. What's your budget, man? I mean, I need more. There's a gazillion cartridges out there. I can tell you the 20X2L would be fantastic on there because it's a great freaking cartridge. Um, I discovered some wire that is not designated for speakers, but seems to work good as in and is economical. Would you be willing to evaluate to see if we can offer an inexpensive solution to all? Aaron, send me an email, ron@newrecordday.com, and tell me what the heck you got. Did Carol Baskin kill her husband? Jim, the obvious answer to that question is yes, she did. Um, if you could spend a weekend at a vintage audio show auditioning any pieces your heart desired, would you go and do it? Just a hypothetical question. Heck yes. In fact, I I would here's a vision for New Record Day. One vision of a gazillion. It would be great if I could find a way to get my hands on some of the classics. Some of the stuff that is that I've just missed. It's like you know, I'm okay, I admit it. I'm in my 40s now. Ugh. But yeah, I would like to hear some stuff that I've missed out on. Stuff that helped build hi-fi up, the pillars, and I want to check out a lot of that older stuff. So that'd be fun. Yeah, for sure. I would totally do that all day long. Um, yeah, Charles Katz also mentions the Leonard Cohen songs, "Famous Blue Raincoat." So again, that kind of music isn't my thing. Like I don't sit around going, "Oh, I'm just going to listen to this track over and over and over again." But in terms of benchmarks of how well it's recorded and the clarity and the quality of the recording, they're phenomenal. They're very good. So yeah, would love to hear you review Crown Pro amps and do comparisons with hi-fi amps for stereo. Yeah, my goodness. I mean, you know, the cat is out of the bag, between Z Reviews and then Andrew Robinson. Those guys really love their Crown amps. And so you guys know me. I'm not afraid of Class D. I'm not afraid of, reviewing Class D stuff. I think that it can be great and it can be amazing. And so I have no problem doing that at all. So yeah, I would be totally down. If you could choose one power amp under $2,000 to power your main rig, which one would you choose and why? Oh, oh my goodness sakes, 2000 bucks. Okay, I can do it. Here's what I would do. After hearing 300B tubes On the NX and the the NX are my reference open baffle do it yourself loudspeaker that I have in house. I would do exactly what Danny did, and I would build that Ellie Kit 300B, and I would put that together, and I did it under 2,000 bucks, and that would be the power amp that I would live with. That's what I would do at that price point. Ron, would you be willing to do your reviews of Patreon chosen items, stuff your fans bring up or vote on? Scott, yes, I would. The way this game works, you need to understand, it's important to understand that I don't do anything magical, right? I don't have like a directory of every manufacturer and I press a button and they just shoot a speaker out to me. I have to approach them. I have to send them emails and tell them, hey, I'm interested in reviewing your speakers and whatever. And then they either read those emails and get back with me or they don't. And a lot of times with larger companies, bigger companies, they don't. And that gets frustrating. But yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that you guys want me to check out, let me know. And I'm more than happy to do the work and find out if we can make it happen. New record day. Can you name some things the audio industry can be doing better to improve sales, customer experiences, and bring new people into the hobby? The only thing that I can say is from my perspective, and one of the reasons why I started this channel to begin with is I knew you guys were out here. And many of you guys, and I think you're going to agree with me, you're not picking up the latest Stereophile magazine and you're not picking up the latest Absolute Sound. And there might be some of you that do, and I'm not poo-pooing that. What I'm saying is there are so many people out on YouTube that are interested in hi-fi. And so it would be my hope and my desire that the industry would kind of wake up from the slumber of doing marketing the same way that they've always done it and printing ads in these magazines and consider, why don't I make a video? Or why don't we chat with Ron like LTA did and just chat about our products and get out to the masses that way? I think that would make a big difference in the big picture of hi-fi, in my opinion. Hey Ron, thanks for the fun broadcast. Board on the west side. Hope you and the family are well. NX Studio build. Oh baby, that sounds often awesome. Yes, I'm totally excited to jump on that and to do it. Totally respect your choice to go full entrepreneur. Best wishes, Thomas. Thank you so much. Let me just take a look here. Redneck Tech, 70, 200 to $400. And if I remember correctly, you were asking about a cartridge. At that price point, I'd be looking at the Ortophone line. Um, the 2M blue, 2M, is it bronze? I think that's around your price point. You might want to take a look at either of those two. Don't go with the red. You've already outgrown the red with that table. I would say blue and above, you'd have a nice little rig. Ron, please out to this company to review the. Okay, yeah, I will do that. I'll bookmark that. Thank you so much. Ron sure makes good cartridges. Yes, sure does make good cartridges. Nothing wrong with sure. Um, have you had a chance to listen to Astle and Kern's beautiful Can personal media player? No, I have not. And it is beautiful. I've seen it, but I haven't had a chance to really spend time with it. Still using the Rogue audio gear in your system, Todd? No, I'm not. I love the Rogue Audio stuff. I cut my teeth on a lot of their tube gear, and I still think that it's a fantastic option. I just don't have their gear in house anymore. So, no, I don't. We need a local NRD booster club of folks that can lend equipment for review. Might work for your classics. Yeah. Jeremy, that's exactly what I'd hope for is if there's, maybe I need to do a video about this, just requesting it to see how, you know, see what the response is like. It would be great if we could get some of you guys that have some of the classics where you're willing to at least ship them to me. We can work out a deal to where I pay for shipping back or something like that, and then I can start reviewing the classics. It'd be a lot of fun. Um, Z Reviews is an effing idiot. Please never mention him again, Ron. Chris. I actually met him in person, and yeah, his I think his bark is bigger than his bite. Am I getting that right? Actually seems like a really nice guy. He really does. So yeah. New record day, $10 1 year subscription to Stereophile, yes or no, and why? And anyone else can chime in. I don't subscribe to any of the magazines, and it's not because I don't like their magazines. I just don't. You know, I grab their mags whenever I can, or I try to steal them from my friends that do subscribe. Like, hey, I want to read this. I want to check out what they have to say. But most of the reviews that I'm paying attention to is stuff within my arena, meaning YouTube, and that's what I know, and that's what I pay attention to. Anyone anyone watching Tiger King, the Tiger King's TMZ special? Oh, I'd be very interested to see what's going on with that. Um, ever listen? Oh, hold on, let me back up. Just jumped. One more second here. My Mac C28 has a third center channel output, not for Dolby. Is this for wide rooms? I think that's what's considered three channel stereo. I've never done it. There's probably a lot of people in here that might be able to lend a hand with that. I think it is designed for that, to have like a coherent, stereo image and like a three channel stereo setup, but I've never messed with it. Oh, hey, Charles. Yeah, you're speaking my language there, bro. Ray Brown's Solar Energy. Oh, you want to hear what an upright bass is supposed to sound like? Man, that record will rip your head off. Holy cow, it's fantastic. Um, yeah, so Kevin Russa frequents all of our channels. Thank you, Kevin. He answered the question. It's an LCR setup. They used to be super common at the shows. So yeah, Ryan Lucas, Ron, suggest having the missus come on once in a while when she's impressed with a particular speaker. I value my missus' opinions since she is seldom impressed with new gear. I'll be happy to do that. I can tell you that these Prime Pinnacles behind my shoulder, she rarely comments on speakers, but when with these, we had them set up and we were playing. She's like, I like these. And that's all she said. I like these. So she likes the Prime Pinnacles. Where's the Golden Ear BRX review, brother? What is the Golden Ear BRX? What is that? Is that I keep hearing people talking about like new Golden Ear stuff. And when I go to their site, I'm not seeing anything new. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. But yeah, Sandy and I are, yeah, we talk. I know Sandy Gross. Yeah, we talk. I can get pretty much anything that I want from them and we can make that happen. So yeah, I'll check it out. If more companies did business like SVS, I think a lot more people would come into this hi-fi as a hobby. I agree with you. I agree. I think they do it right. Top three albums you can't live without. Anthony, if you go to my channel and you check out um, I think it's like 6 records that define New Record Day, there's going to be 6. So you ask for 3, you're going to get 6. Spoiler alert, they're the records behind me right now. Love that new Tool album. So do I. I love Tool. Yeah, the new Tool album is awesome. It's great sounding. Fantastic. Pete says, Ron, yes, you are more interesting than the majority of articles in Stereophile. That is very kind of you to say. I appreciate it. Very nice. Thank you. Let me just see here. We got a note in here by Nick. He's just reminding us that Shure unfortunately stopped making phono anything, and that's a bummer. So if you are getting Shure cartridges, you're buying new old stock, and that is true. Wonder how the NX stand up in your opinion to say, ooh, the spatial audio M3s. Um, what's what's with Danny's Paleolithic Arrow website, which does not have some of the speakers he has shown in vids with you. Uh, yeah, Danny's website, it needs some love. And I do know a guy that used to be a web designer that is now doing New Record Day full time that might be able to help out Danny with that. It is helping Danny with that. I'm gonna we're gonna fix that website because you're right. It's pathetic. It's awful. How do they stand up to the spatial audio M3s? I'm shocked that nobody has asked this question. They're both great. They're both amazing. Let me get that part right. But they sound different and they both have strengths. One of the things that I appreciate about pretty much any spatial open baffle speaker that you're going to buy, if we're talking about, the bigger stuff, you're not going to need a sub. I'm saying need. Like you don't have to have a sub. And that was my experience with the M3s is they were just slamming and the bass was fast and it hit like a tow truck. I don't know, and I need to talk to Clayton. I should have him on a show here. It would be great. I don't know if that guy is just rock and roll at heart, but that is something that I hear in his speakers. There is something about those speakers that is just ballsy and there's fireworks involved and they just have this kind of rock and roll type spirit to them. And that's the best way that I can say it for now. The Exoticas are about precision and they are all about the ability to play stuff incredibly quick. It's there and then it's gone. And I would say they are less exciting. Less exciting in some areas is what I remember from the spatials. So there's just a little bit more forgiveness on some of those frequencies to where it's not quite as rock and roll. Both are amazing. There is no loser when you compare those two. There is no loser between those two. They're both great. Let me just see here. Did you ever hear the B&W old 801 or Krell amps? Not enough to talk about, unfortunately. I wonder why anyone ever reviews Cambridge audio components. I actually have some Cambridge audio stuff in house that I'm putting through its paces. It's a streamer. So that will at least open the doors to Cambridge audio. And then I can just start requesting stuff and I can check out whatever you guys want to know about. So, New Record Day, we'll be doing that soon. Can you give us some more detail about the AVOs? They're rarely AV10s? They're rarely reviewed, and I'd like to see more angles of our MCM build. I'm confused by this. I don't know what you're asking about, Jeff. If you can explain down below, I'll get to your question. I thought you were talking about the AVOs, and that was just a typo, but now I'm confused what you're asking about. I don't know. Let's see here. Can you expand on the Kit 300B amp? I want to, but have never built any kit. Am I insane? GOL, you're not insane. I've never built an amplifier either. The idea of it seems a little bit daunting, but I can't expand on it because I'm in the same boat as you. I haven't built a 300B amplifier. I was just asked earlier what would be the amp that I would live with, just to be done. And knowing what that amp sounded like, and I only have $2,000 to spend, that would be the amp that I would buy. Now, if you were generous and said, Ron, forget the budget, then I have two manly 300Bs out here that I would gladly consider my own. And I would be like, yeah, those are the ones. They're incredible. And that review will come out pretty soon here. So, Techno Dad is a tool. Haha, just kidding. No, he is a tool. Chana's a good guy. I like him a lot. At New Record Day, Pioneer PL400 record player. What would you recommend for a good cartridge? $200 or less. Ortophone 2M Blue. That would be at that price point. That would probably be the one that I would recommend. The NX Studio monitor wasn't on the site. I'm aware of that, Martin. That is true. It's not on the site. It's on the Audio Circle forum for GR Research. You can find out about it there. And like I just mentioned, Danny will be getting a new site here. We're going to make that happen. Shit Freya Plus preamp with Crown 1502 amp. That's a good question. I don't have any Crown amps in house, so I don't know what that pairing would be like. It'd be interesting. It would be interesting to check that out. I don't know. Martin replied to one of these folks by saying, Nagaoka, if I'm saying that right, MP110 for $120 and done. That's not the first time that I've seen that cartridge recommended. I've never heard it myself, but a lot of people seem to really like that as a budget cart. So that's probably a good recommendation. Favorite headphone under $500 is the Bayer Dynamic DT 1990s. I love those headphones. They're fantastic. Let's see here. Have you heard a wireless anything you like over its standard counterpart? No, I haven't. I haven't heard anything that I like more yet so far. All right, Jeff, I'm getting your question. Sorry, the new floor standing GR Research guys you built in the mid-century modern style. Yeah, so those are the AVOs, and they're fantastic. It's an easy build. I am going to be doing a review of those where I'm going to be kind of breaking everything down the best that I can. So pay attention to that, Jeff, and that review will come out very soon. And I'll tell you as much as I can possibly tell you about doing them. It's a great beginner's build. It's not hard to put those together, so it is one that I would recommend, to somebody building them. And those speakers are all about throwing an amazing stage in the room. That's what they do, and they do it really, really well. How did I come up with New Record Day? Huh. I'm surprised that nobody has asked that question. Many years ago, before I started the channel, I got interested in vinyl because of a friend of mine. His name is Eric. And I went over to listen to his rig, and he played me Ludwig's cut of Zeppelin 2, and it freaked me out. The dynamics freaked me out. And so Sarah, my wife, and I went to Zia Records, and she bought me Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon and a couple other records. And we got outside, and I held it up, and she took a picture of me, and I was like, New Record Day. Like, as in, this is a new record. And so that's where I got my name, New Record Day. What main stream gear that ignores your email requests would you love to review? Oh, what mainstream gear that ignores your email requests would you love to review? Um, JBL. Numero uno, number one, the new JBL, what is it? The H something line? I forget it already. There's a new line of speakers that JBL just put out. I would love to get my hands on those speakers, and I can't get them to respond. So, JBL, work with me. Work with me. Help me help you. If someone is truly into 3-channel stereo, okay, that looks like they're just answering some questions. I appreciate that. Did I miss your PSB interview? Yes, Dave, we did that earlier on the Daily Hi-Fi Show. It's on Techno Dad's channel. You can go and check it out right now. It's all on there. Night, y'all. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Keep jamming. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you, bro. What's your take on Beryllium tweeters? The Ryan brothers did a great job of using a Beryllium tweeter in, oh, it was their top dog, or is their top dog. I forget the name of the speaker. Todd and Trevor's. Sorry. They used a Beryllium tweeter in that speaker, and as far as I'm concerned, they nailed it. Beryllium, I think, can be tricky to work with. I feel the same way about aluminum dome tweeters, and I feel the same way about titanium dome tweeters. It's like this. If you watch like a calibrated television set that's perfect, true to life with colors, and you watch that for a week, and then you go over to your friend's house that's like cranked everything up and you see it over there, and you're just like, that does not look natural. Holy cow, the grass is way too green and the blues are too blue. What have you done? I think that metal drivers have tweeters, specifically tweeters, have a tendency of doing that. Is yeah, I see what you did there. That grass is ultra green. That's cute, bro, but that's not what grass looks like. So it's hard to get them to sound natural. And the Ryan brothers know how to do it. NSD, have you tried Wavelab? I think you mean NRD. Have I tried Wavelabs? No. And I think that is a company that does DAX, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't tried them. I can certainly reach out and make that happen. No problem. Let me just see here. Have you ever tried Have you ever heard or set up a system in a corner in a room in lieu of the front wall? Andrew Robinson recently did a video where he talks about this. It's like hi-fi in small spaces where you do everything kind of cockeye. It's an interesting concept and I can understand the logic behind it. So I think that if you're like in a small square room, you might actually want to give that a try and see what you get. Sure. I've never done it myself, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It can work in smaller rooms. So, yeah. I was at Costco yesterday. Some little gal ran out of the store with a huge package of toilet paper. She tripped, fell on the bulk pack, bounced up, and got away with a clean swipe. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences with VTA on cartridge setup? Do you think that it's super critical to nail the stylus rake angle? Oh, man. Michael Framer, we can all thank Michael Framer for making us insane about, should we get out microscopes and get that, what is it, 92.5-degree rake angle perfect? No, I haven't. I haven't messed with that stuff. I'm such a geek that I think it's interesting and kind of fun, and I'd be curious to dink around with that stuff, but hear me and hear me well. If it sounds good, it is good. So mess with it until you like it, and then don't worry about it. Stop fiddling with it and start listening to records. That's my opinion. Let me just see here. Is an SVS Ultra Tower review on its way? No, it's not. I haven't requested an SVS Ultra Tower. I could. I haven't. Um, I can make that happen. I'm sure. So yeah. What is the point at which you could change from a headphone setup to one with monitors and a separate amp? I'm not really sure I understand your question. Like, what is the point at which you would change? I don't know what you're asking. If you can ask that in a different way, I'll do the best that I can. Are the RP600Ms that much better than the RP160M? I've never heard the 160M. I've heard the RP600M, and that review will be out sometime this week, and you'll be able to hear what I have to say about those speakers. Have you ever heard any of the Prima Luna amps? Yes, I have. And from what I've heard of them and heard them at shows and things like that, they're fine. They seem like they're a great option and terribly expensive. So I kind of feel like I'd put them in the bracket of Rogue Audio. I feel like those two go at it, guys. It'd be a good fight, I think, based on what I've seen. Revel has done some very nice reviews with beryllium dome tweeters. Kevin Coex is a bit of a genius with speaker designs. Yeah, I want to check out stuff from Revel. I I'll have to send some emails out. Martin is saying clean swipe, bad joke. Okay. Let me just see here. Uh, Ron, I'm not digging the mids and treble on my Enzo XLS. Would adding a double impact center speaker and switch my CD listening from 2 to 3 channel, can 3 channel be favorable to 2 channel? Oh, Dan. I don't know. I don't know about that, man. I mean, so you're going to buy one extra speaker and you're going to do a 3 channel. And is that going to give you the top end that you're looking for? I can't answer that question. I don't know. I truly don't know the answer to that. How about reviewing Nola speakers? Jason, I'm totally open to that idea. I've seen their designs, they're interesting. I'd be totally down to check them out. I can send an email. Um, Wavelab is a music editing, remastering, and multi-channel recording software. It's top of the line. I use that a lot to remaster my music. That's hilarious. So I was way off thinking that it had anything to do with DAX. Thank you for informing me. I'll check out Wavelab. Thanks for the VTA answer. Ever so often, I think of that wild microscope video I saw. I feel like only a few actually do this at extreme high end, though also a nerd and curious. Yeah, so I think that you and I are pretty much in the same boat. It's like it would be interesting to get it set up the way that you think that it should sound and where it sounds good, and then check it with a microscope to understand what you like. It's not like if you're at, let's say, 95 degrees and then you go to 92 and it sounds worse, I would not stick it 90. And I think 92 is what Framer says. I can't remember. It's been a long time, but I wouldn't change it to what Michael Framer is saying you to change it to because he's saying that's what sounds best. Just if it sounds good to you, then leave it alone. Who cares? Let me see here. Where do I find the link? Techno Dad YouTube search comes up with other matters. Dave, if you just type in Techno Dad in YouTube, you're going to go to his channel, click on his channel, and then click on videos, and then click on live, and you should see it there. If not, shoot me an email, Ron at New Record Day, and I will send you the link. It's also on my community page if you want to check it out from there. With all the critical listening you do you still have time to listen for fun? Yeah, I do. Um, For me, critical listening has to start with fun, to be frank with you. It's like I do everything in my power to make the speaker do some things that I find interesting, and that's all placement. And at the point where I am having fun and I'm able to kind of pull some things out of that speaker, that's when I start critically listening. If I don't like anything that I'm hearing, then what's the dang point in that? So, yeah, I have fun as I critically listen to loudspeakers. I was asking if there a cost or room size that needs to be in place before you would be bets to change to loudspeaker rather than headphones. Okay, I think I understand what you're asking. One of the benefits to headphones is you don't need to worry about the room. You don't need to worry about room acoustics. I mean, it's like in your head. And so that is a big advantage that headphones have. So, do you have to spend a whole lot of money to get great sound to make that jump from headphones? I don't think so. I mean, if you're into do it yourself, that's going to give you the most bang for the buck. There's no doubt about that. But heck, even like the ELAC, let's start with the UB5s at $350 or the JBL Studio 530s at again, 300, $350. Two totally different sounding loudspeakers, but both of those are fantastic. And none of my headphones can give me what those speakers are able to give me. And yet at the same time, those speakers can't give me what a lot of my headphones can give me. It's just two totally different worlds, two totally different things. So it just could come down to how do you want the stage to sound? And this is an endless debate between guys that like headphones and guys and girls that like headphones and guys and girls that like speakers. So yeah. Ron, do you like DSD recordings versus Wave? Any take on that? Jingle, here's the deal. I am not and maybe this is the unpopular opinion, but I'm not one of the audiophile reviewers out there that says you have to have DSD or you have to have high res or you're not an audiophile and you don't know what you're talking about. Bogus, BS, nonsense. I don't feel that way at all. I think that it just comes down to the, mixing and mastering of that particular recording that we're talking about. And there's a lot of Redbook stuff that is CD that I think sounds amazing. So I don't get all that excited as soon as I see DSD, and I don't get all that excited when I see high res. It's like I'll check it out, and sometimes it sounds amazing, and sometimes it doesn't. And so again, I don't think it really has a whole lot to do with whether or not it's a DSD or high res. I think it just comes down to how is that particular album mixed and mastered. That's my opinion on that. NRD in the market for a streamer DAC and looking at CA and NAD. Okay. Cambridge Audio and NAD. Yeah. So the Cambridge Audio streamer that I'm going to be checking out, I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts and opinions on that guy right now, but I will soon. And then NAD has the, what is it, the C658 or something like that? It's like their new streamer DAC that has built into rack. It's basically like the front end of the NAD M10, but built into a streamer. I requested one and I'm like, NAD, now I gotta put these things head to head and check them out because both seem pretty interesting. So I should be able to answer that exact question very soon. On to Red, did you get my super chat question? I haven't seen a super chat question come through yet. If I missed it, I really apologize. Nothing's come through yet. Thank you for introducing your fan base to Gary. He's an awesome guy, and he actually answers the phone himself. I think you mean Danny, not Gary, but Danny. And he is an awesome guy. He's fantastic. Any experience with NHT speakers? No. I no experience with NHT. I think they are a company that I can reach out to. I think I have the connections to NHT, so I can probably make that happen here soon. Nolas are very good, at least what I have heard at the shows. That's interesting to know. I'm interested in checking out Nola. I know they do some open baffle stuff, which is cool. I'm in love with the focal contas. Would love your thoughts on any of the focal line. I can also make that happen here pretty soon. So focal is a brand that I have my eye on. I got you, focal. So yeah, man, that can happen. Will you review the Zoo Audio? Will I review Zoo Audio stuff? Yeah, Zoo. I'm totally down with reviewing. I I'm okay with reviewing anything. I don't have this like stipulation of, it has to be a product that I like. In fact, there's a lot of reviewers out there, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It's just my opinion that if they get in an item that they don't like, they don't review it and they send it back. And I keep thinking to myself, well, what the heck is the good in that? For me, it's less about whether or not I like the item and more about being able to describe how it sounds for you guys. Then you can decide whether that's going to be your cup of tea. And so, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd be down. I'd be down to check out Zoo Audio. So, yeah, for sure. Amazon Music HD versus Tidal and Qobuz. Um, for me, I don't hear much of a difference between those platforms, to be frank. When I go back and forth, it's like sometimes I think I hear a difference, and then in others I'm like, no, this is crazy. Cactus and Kindness. This is my wife. She's in the other room. She's asking who's the stinkiest. That's easy. It's going to be Elliot, and then maybe Dad. Elliot, Dad, and then maybe mom. Maybe mom. How come you never dance on your videos? How come you never dance on your videos? My wife started up a YouTube channel here called Cactus and Kindness. Yes, I'm gonna plug her channel absolutely because she gives me loving, and that's why. It's easy as that. Um, why do car subwoofers have round foam surround while professional DJ subwoofers have stiff, rigid surround? Just curious to hear your answer. Thanks. I'm not a car audio expert. I would have a feeling that it probably has to do with sound pressure level. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not too sure. That's a great question. If anybody else in here knows the answer to that question, go for it. What's the most embarrassing thing that I have ever done? Like knowingly done? I do a lot of embarrassing things. Like if there was a camera on me 24/7, you guys would be like, this is the guy that we take hi-fi advice from, huh? That's the best that we can come up with. I do a lot of embarrassing things all the time. I use Qobuz. I like it better than Tidal. That's awesome. That's great. Fantastic. SVS Pentacles at $1,600 a pair. You have gotten a number of good reviews. End of year awards. Would I give these an end of year award? I don't know. I don't know. They're a good sounding loudspeaker. And what's interesting about it is I was expecting these to be voiced similar or sound the same as the Ultra Bookies that I recently did. Nope. Nope. Uh-uh. Nope. These are dancing in a different arena. The Prime Pinnacles to me are, do I dare say, warmer? I do dare say because it's true. They don't have that tilt at the very top where it's like snakes hissing. I hear it. Doesn't happen with the Prime Pinnacles. So that's nice. I like it. All right, let's see here. Emotiva B1, $230 a pair. I just recently reached out to Emotiva, and I'm going to be getting their floor standers, the F2s or F2 plus. I don't know the models. They're floor standers, the big boys. Those are going to be coming anytime now. I'll be checking those out, and I will do a teardown, and I'll be doing a teardown of these speakers behind me. I've already tore down the other ELAC. That's why these drivers are sitting right here, and the crossovers up there. So yeah. Since you talked with Paul, will he be sending you his Imagine X1T towers to review? After I got off that live chat with Paul, I immediately reached out to the PR company that works with PSP speakers and I said, we need to make some stuff happen. Now I really want to hear his speakers. So that will be happening sooner than later. Let me just see here. All right. Here we go. We have an answer to the question earlier about the subwoofers. Pro Audio are much less excursion and much more efficient, can also use much larger enclosures. So there's your answer. First off, appreciate everything you do. Thank you. What's the word on running Danny's servo subs as a single instead of stereo pair? You could do it. You could do it. Yeah, you could do it. You can make that happen. I mean, you could throw it. You could probably put one in the middle of the room and just have it facing you. Yeah, you could do it. Sure. But don't. Get 2. Stop messing around. You need 2 subs. This is new record day. This isn't single sub day for crying out loud. I've got dad jokes all night. Um, let's just see here. Cactus and Kindness waiting on info, i.e. cold brew to send to you. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. That's very kind of you. A lot of so-called DSD was converted from PCM anyway. So there we go, Martin. So I think that you and I could probably sit down, have a drink, and try to peel back the layers on this whole DSD nonsense conversation. And I think we're probably going to agree that it just comes down to the mix and the master of that particular recording. And that's what you're really hearing. At the end of the day, that's what you're hearing. Virtual reality headsets will ever come together for live concert remote view music videos. Michael, I have no idea. I hope not because I enjoy the experience. I enjoy the actual experience of going out and being around people. And yeah, so I hope not, but it might be like a bigger thing someday. Who knows? Ron, I have to agree with you. Great sound is usually record independent. Bad recordings sound terrible on the best, most detailed gear. That's been my experience. Ronnie, have you ever been intrigued by the whole mono scene? No, I haven't. I haven't, but I will say this. I heard the Beach Boys in mono on my buddy's system. There was something there. There was if we're talking about depth, so forget a stereo stage. That doesn't happen because that's just not what mono does. But the depth thing and the separation of the vocals was interesting. It was good. Ron, I guess you're in Mesa, Arizona. I'm in Chandler. Jingle, that's awesome. Yes, we are neighbors. That's fantastic. I used to sell Alon speakers back in the 90s. They're now called Nola. He just reversed the word. Interesting. Oh. Is that Blake Mills Hey Ho behind you? Just got that record in today. So great. John, yes, it is. And yes, it is great. Okay. Yeah. You want to join me here, little guy? We're getting ready to finish up. All right. All right. So we got Elliot here. We're going to finish up. Let me just try to jump in here. So yeah, Blake Mills Hey Ho is freaking awesome. It's totally killer. And let me just see here. What are must own SACD albums? I have a mix. Same with some DVD audio stuff as well. The Dances with Wolves is really nice. I remember listening to that one and I liked it quite a bit. And for DVD audio, the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody is super crazy cool. Super crazy. So yeah. Quentin Ford, can I send you a pair of speakers for review? Email me, ron@newrecordday.com, and I'm sure we can make something happen. Yes. Let me just see here. Audio Science reviews numbers on the NAD C658 were awful, and number of early buyers bagged on the sound, though, since it has a few decent press reviews, something or another. Huh. Okay, so it doesn't measure well. Interesting. Okay, well, good to know. I'll check it out. I'll experience it and see what I think. Um, I've got some super chats. Thank you so much for the super chats. I do appreciate it. First one is, what do you think about the uh, project pre-box S2? I've heard it at shows and I liked it quite a bit, but I haven't had it in house. I do have a rep that handles projects, so I might be able to make that happen. Ron, it's better to be really good at something than try to be good at everything. That is true. I agree with that. Zero Fidelity just reviewed the Emotiva T1 towers. I haven't seen that review. That's fantastic. What do you think, buddy? Do you still have the Mod-Right PH 9.0? Yes. Yes, I do still have it, and Dan cannot have it back. And that's that. So come at me, Dan. Come at me, bro. It's a long-term loan, and he's not in any rush to have it back. It's part of my system, and I think it's fantastic. Let me just see here. Thank you. Cactus and Kindness. What are the 10 most appealing things about Ron? She should do a video on that. I would love to watch that video. Let me just see here. Did you ever hear any audio note speakers and what is your opinion? Oh, I'm going to be bagging on them since you asked. I'm sorry, but yes, I went to a show one time and they like literally stuck these audio note speakers back in the corner. They're designed to be literally shoved back in the corner and they sounded awful. They sounded exactly what you might expect when you shove speakers back in a corner, which is never a good idea. So I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they would do that. And sorry, audio note, don't do that. It's a bad idea. Let me just see here. Hi, Elliot. Cool baby time. Oh, that is really, yep. This is my little boy, Mr. Elliot. Loves his dad, loves hanging out with dad. How much could here we go. Ted, thank you so much for the super chat. How much could a Class D 300 watt per channel ATI amp improve my HT, so home theater over my Denon? Oh boy. How much? I think what you're asking, if I understand this question, Ted, is how much can a separate power amp improve the performance of your home theater if you integrate that with your legacy audio speakers? I would imagine that it, depending on what amp we're talking about, it absolutely could make an improvement, for sure, and that is something that you might want to explore. Sure, yeah, I think if that's what you're asking is, if I swap out if I use it like pre-out into the power amp, can I expect differences, and can those differences be beneficial? Absolutely, they can, for sure. Let me just see here. Um, Questions about DAX. With any open baffle or infinite subwoofer design, you need more cone area to compensate for less power handling due to the enclosure air spring compliance. Okay. My monitor gold. Looks like you guys are just chatting here. And then we have somebody that we need to kick out of the room. All right, here we go. Oh man, did I make it down to the bottom? It looks like I did. Oh, thank goodness. Love the baby. Congratulations on going full time with the show. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. And yeah, I appreciate all the support. I'm excited to do it, and I'm going to be working hard. So this is this is it for me now. There's no safety nets, no nothing like that. It's either sink or swim, and I plan to swim. Oh, Bubba, what do you think? Should we finish this up? Here, here, homie. Here, homie. There you go. I think you're hungry. All right, guys. I think that's a wrap. Hour and 52 minutes. Ellie is not thrilled. So appreciate you all for hopping in here, hanging out with me. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody. Oh, buddy. Hang in there, homie.